Chapter 2. The fourth dimension. It has appeared repeatedly that there are still many pupils for whom it is very difficult to form a correct image, and hence a correct understanding, of a microcosm which, although an eternal being, can nevertheless be broken and damaged. This is why we would like to discuss this now. A life wave of souls or microcosms is generated by and born out of the divine thought, irradiating the surrounding astral original nature, in the same way as our thoughts cause the formation of sparks in our astral body. Having been born, the microcosm goes on in a process of self-realization, for the divine thought drives the astral spark. Thus, ethers are released in the field of manifestation of the microcosm, and these concentrate around the nucleus or rose of the microcosm, and adopt the form of the thought image that underlies its creation. In this way, the true human being was once created out of eternity, and he was naturally and spontaneously linked to the Father. But the human being, which in primeval times abused his freedom and has proven his resisting nature, knows only too well what has become of him. The original glorified body is not able to manifest itself. It disappeared, because an etheric physical body has the property that, if it is not formed out of an astral mother field, it will evaporate into nothing. The result is that the original ensouling factor, the microcosm, the soul, has then become inactive and empty and is not able to manifest itself. And the spirit that caused the original miracle has withdrawn. By an earthly birth process, a personality is now born and linked with a soul. That personality is in itself another miracle of God's love, for it should be seen as part of an emergency order plan to bring the original fallen human being back to life. The calling of the earthly personality, as a temporary phenomenon, is to liberate its soul, its microcosm, from its imprisonment through self-surrender and by merging through the Endura into the other one, who must be resurrected. At present, the microcosm is bound to its system of time and space, but when the spirit, the soul, and the transfigured personality are reunited, the microcosm will be fit to re-enter the divine state of omnipresence. Until then, the microcosm remains broken and damaged. This is why the call resounds continuously for everyone to accomplish this great work of salvation in and through the great power of the original nature. In the first place, this great and holy light power should irradiate your entire body. The mode of life that is required of you is that of becoming enlightened. Just like Simeon, you must become a soul that seeks the Spirit. You must bring your whole life into harmony with that. At a psychologically suitable point of time, the light will make its great entry into your microcosm and be seen by you. For this, it is necessary that you place your feelings, thoughts, and acts of the will under the radiation power of the holy breath, so that the soul can come to life in the vital body and link up with the seven spirit. The inner Christ will then take over the government of the Johannine human being, and where the devoted I cannot succeed, the soul will end all the difficulties in the personality's existence and lead it to the victory, namely, Golgotha, the prelude to the resurrection. Then the first task of Jesus Christ in the human being has been accomplished. Possibly you will understand what happens when the candidate in the Gnostic mysteries is able to raise his soul state up to the Father and to tear himself loose from the nature aeons, due to the urge of the call of the Spirit. Having stepped into the temple of his deepest inner self, he beholds, he sees the living other one. And in experiencing this pure vision, he also beholds the process of development of every fallen child of God, leading from the nature of death into the liberating life. The new vision is so intimately connected to intuition that it is virtually indistinguishable. You will understand this completely if you begin to discover the purpose and the nature of this true vision. The development of the intuition is truly the awakening of the soul, and is connected to the true birth of the soul and the installation of the soul in the open space behind the frontal bone. Awakening in the spirit-soul field and entering the pure astral sphere of the magnetic living body requires an absolutely new vision, namely seeing and entering what we call the fourth dimension, the fourth measurement of space. We know 3 dimensions: height, length, and width. We experience our living space through these 3 dimensions. No matter how wide we make or imagine this 3-dimensional space, it always has limits, it always has restrictions, and it always means imprisonment. This imprisonment is experienced unconsciously in our time, as we can see in the scientific attempts to reach other planets, our Earth being known completely from a 3-dimensional point of view. In the indomitable pressure which evolution exerts on humanity, the 3 dimensions are becoming too restrictive, too oppressive. Science reacts to this oppression in a 3-dimensional way by trying to make the 3-dimensional space as spacious and as wide as possible. It is clear that the difficulties connected with this would cease immediately if there were a 4th dimension and this were to be experienced as a reality by science. That 4th dimension does exist. It is the dimension that could be called the absolutely passable. We would like to describe it as the reality of omnipresence. It is the dimension that completely eliminates time, distance and past, present and future, the now and the soon to be. If humanity could possess this 4th dimension, there would be absolutely no need to go to the Moon, Mars, Venus, or Mercury, for example, because reflecting about the Moon would mean, seen in the 4th dimension, being on the Moon. In short, possessing the 4th dimension means having the faculty of omnipresence. It is very curious for a human being with 3-dimensional sight to imagine such a faculty. Yet the 4th dimension is only the door to the 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensions. These 7 dimensions lie at the basis of the atom, which has 7 aspects. The human being, which is made up of atoms, is in principle, fundamentally omnipresent. But he is not conscious of this, for his consciousness and his present faculties are 3-dimensional. The omnipresent consciousness bestows the capability of being conscious anywhere it wishes to be, although it remains in one particular spot. Intuition is the gate to this. The new vision is the first step in the realization of the 4th dimension. After this explanation, you will understand how fatal it is to leave oneself open to the astral influences of ordinary dialectical nature. The human field of life is totally polluted. The atmosphere of human life with its astral and etheric causes and effects is totally saturated with them. As your field of life is also your field of respiration, you are imprisoned in this down to your very seed, down to your progeny. How true, therefore, are the words in the Old Testament that the sins of the fathers are visited upon the children to the 3rd and the 4th generation. Why only to the 3rd and 4th generation? Because a cause of sin can at most extend to the 3rd or 4th generation. But a new cause is usually implied in its results. Whoever does not commence the changed mode of life on the basis of the awakened soul and persevere in this will never reach any Gnostic goal. Every type of magic is achieved by means of the breath. Whoever is incapable of protecting himself against harmful astral influences will be victimized absolutely. To the extent that the form of the personality is gradually extinguished by a positive new life, is changing, and is being ruled by the soul, the 5th ray of the 7 spirit will begin to carry out its task. Then the summit of the mountain has been reached. A new, wondrous light begins to touch and charge the pupil. And this light is active in a purely mental way. For the first time in his life, the pupil can truly think purely, because his mental organs have been opened up for this. Sensory renewal is accomplished in perfect harmony with the manifestation of the 7 rays of the 7 spirit, provided the pupil does what the inner process requires of him. He will be supported by the liberating universal doctrine. The mind corresponds to the 5th ray. If you are led into the sphere of the activity of the 5th sense, you will immediately discover that the mind is much more than a sensory organ. The mind is the vehicle for and of thinking. The mind is the vehicle of the mental body. When the rational mind begins to be aroused, this means the birth of the mental body, which is as yet lacking in every human being of the nature of death. It is only as a result of this birth that true human genesis begins. In the ancient teachings, a human being was sometimes referred to as Adamus, which is related to the word man, or manus, i.e. thinker. The cooperation of the pupil standing in the new mode of life with the fifth ray of the seven spirit means nothing less than the birth, the true manifestation of the mind as meant by God, of the true mental body, and hence, the manifestation of the rational mind. We are very conscious of the abridged nature of this explanation. However, we hope that there will be enough soul power present and active in your head sanctuary to enable you to understand and grasp all this.